Transfer chains. If the realization of a personal goal lies far from a current lifeline, it is nearly impossible to align your energy directly with that distant lifeline. For example, if you plan on taking an exam but know nothing of the subject, you can't align yourself with a lifeline where you ace that test. If you know nothing about the relevant subject, you will not be able to visualize your answer to a single question. The path that leads from your current position to your future goal may be quite long, although not necessarily in a temporal sense. It is not only your position that must change, but also your way of thinking, your manner, and perhaps even your character. You cannot attune the parameters of your energy to any level of precision without actually walking the path. If you try to visualize the process of moving towards a very distant goal, you may be tempted to jump ahead and rush events, which is ineffective and leads to frustration and annoyance, which in turn will set balance forces against you. You can play a slide with a mental picture of the distant future in your mind as often as you'd like. It will not do any harm. But visualizing the process of moving along a part of the path that you would not naturally be treading for a while yet could end up getting you lost. If the goal needs to be reached progressively, you will have to work through all the different stages towards it, whether you want to or not. For example, in order to get this community to where it needs to be, I had to go through several stages. Generally, they were to write out the training, create the presentation, record and edit videos, set up the platform, market it, and then execute on fulfillment. Because the individual stages are linked together in a chain, it is impossible to move on to any given stage without having completed the one immediately before it. Another example would be that you cannot become a professional in any given field in one fell swoop. You have to first finish your studies or training, then find work or apprenticeship, then polish your skills, etc. This consecutive path towards a goal in the alt space is called a transfer chain. Every link in the chain represents a separate stage. Because the individual stages are linked together in a chain, it is impossible to move onto any other given stage without having completed the one immediately before it. Another example is that you can't, go for your master's before finishing your university degree. Each link in the transfer chain is made up of interconnected and relatively homogeneous sectors of the alt space. The path to the goal is made up of transfer chains and the alt flow. The alt space is inherently an ordered structure, which means that if you try to create a path to your goal that is in an unordered fashion, you will never reach them. You already know that in order to avoid disrupting balance and losing a sense of the alt flow, you have to be careful not to create excess potential, meaning do not slap your hands on the surface of the water and do not fight against the current. That just leaves one more rule, which is to practice visualizing the process of moving towards your goal at your current stage only. You can picture the end result as often as you like in the form of the target slide, but the action slide or the process should only be imagined within the context of your current link in the transfer chain. There's no need to hurry, everything happens at the right time. Now we can give the final definition of the action slide in the transurfing method as mentally picturing the realization process of your current link in the transfer chain. Mentally picturing an image helps to direct thought in the necessary direction. If thoughts are just given a little push, they'll continue of their own momentum, both in script as in dreaming. The goal is achieved by living out the link's realization process in both thought and action. As you can see, the approach is actually quite straightforward. It is not difficult to determine the separate links in your personal transfer chain. But what if the sequence of movements towards your goal is not known to you yet, or you have no idea by what means your goal might be achieved? Don't worry, we'll repeat the steps you can take next. If you don't know yet how your goal might be realized, don't worry. Just continue visualizing the target slide calmly and systematically. Once the limits of your comfort zone have been widened enough to embrace the goal, outer intention will offer up a suitable means to achieve it. There's no need to stress over finding the right way of getting to your goal. The slide itself will nudge you to take the necessary actions automatically, even subconsciously. Eliminate importance, remain calm, and trust the alt flow. Let's clarify signs in transurfing. Signs you interpret as pointing you to your goal actually relate to your current step in the transfer chain and not the final goal itself. Signs reflect the path that you're currently on, not the distant lifeline you aim to reach, especially if multiple chains separate you from your target. This doesn't mean signs for distant goals don't exist, but from your current position, their meaning is too uncertain. In transurfing, apart from a clear negative response from your inner voice, signs are considered the least reliable tool and shouldn't be given too much significance. It only remains to clarify whether it is worth practicing goal-based visualization techniques. The answer is unequivocal. It is essential to practice goal-based visualization in any form that is convenient. The goal should be held in the mind in the form of a slide, which helps widen the comfort zone and attune the frequency of your thought energy to the target lifeline. This is the sole function of the target slide. By contrast, the physical shift to a target lifeline is accomplished by the workhorse of transurfing, i.e., visualization of the process of moving towards the goal. By visualizing the process, you unite your personal inner intention with outer intention.